Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have a special box to open. If you looked at the thumbnail or read the title, you'll have seen that this is from Miller Knife Works, and this is a kitchen knife. And I don't really have a ton of experience with nice kitchen knives. I have some. Like, growing up, I remember when I was like a teenager, at some point, my mom really wanted a nice kitchen knife. And so me and my siblings like pitched in and we got her like a nice Wusthof kitchen knife. And so I remember using that one. And recently, if you watched my kind of haul from the Spyderco Factory Second sale, I got a Factory Second Spyderco kitchen knife that I've actually been using for everything in the kitchen ever since. And it makes a big difference. I've got like a KitchenAid knife block that's like okay, but the Spyderco one, it's way better. And so recently I've become friends with CJ Miller over at Miller Knife Works, and I'll unbox while I talk so this doesn't take forever. And we've just been talking about knives in general, and he's been showing me stuff that he's working on, all kinds of cool stuff. And he ended up asking if I'd be interested in checking out one of his custom kitchen knives. He makes custom fixed blades, and I don't think he's made any folders. I've seen a bunch of the fixed blades that he's made now, and really impressive, good looking work that he does. And so I was like, yeah, of course I'll be down to check that out, especially because it's an avenue of knives that I just haven't really gotten deep in yet. And like with folders and even with like outdoorsy fixed blades, I feel like I've gotten pretty deep in a lot of ways. Obviously there's still a ton more to explore always, but with kitchen knives it's really just not something I've dove into. And so with how good his work looks and how cool and exciting this stuff is, it was like a no-brainer. So we worked it out. I did not pay for this for it to get to me here and now. But if I decide to keep it, then I'll be buying it from him. So essentially, he's loaned it to me to review, and if I decide to keep it, then he'll let me purchase it from him. So that's cool to know. I did make him write out, we talked on the phone before he sent it, a list of notes for me, because I just don't retain a ton of kitchen knife info. So he sent it to me in this really nice pouch. I don't know if this is something he always does, but this is pretty cool. I don't know where this came from. Ace case. Cool. All right, so before I pull it out of here, let's look at some notes on it real quick. So this is the Miller Knife Works Meleia. I think that's how you say it. Apparently it's named after his wife. That's cool. This is the version 2. So the blade steel on this guy is Nitro V. It's only 3/32 thick. Cutting edge is 8 1/4. 13-inch overall length. The handle is natural canvas cross-cut micarta with black canvas liners and stainless pins. It has a diamond grind, which I'm really, really excited about, and it's ground to 5/1000 before sharpening. So at the edge, before he put an edge on it, it was at 5/1000. So I'd imagine it's probably somewhere like 7 or 8/1000 behind the edge now. We'll see. He designs it with a constant curve in the edge to make a belly from tip to heel. And the rest is a note to me. Notes about him. CJ Miller, I already said that. He's a part-time knife maker. He was a CH-47 mechanic in the U.S. Army for 6 years with 1 tour to Afghanistan. That's really rad. I knew he was a vet, but I didn't know he served a tour in Afghanistan. He's from Tennessee, and his Instagram is at Miller Knife Works. That will be linked down below in the description of this video. And he even gave me notes of things that he's looking for feedback on, which I really appreciate from makers. Not that I think my opinion is the end-all, be-all, or anything like that, but I think it just speaks a lot about a maker. Like, isolate it away from me. When a maker is willing to send something out looking for feedback from a reviewer, I think is a really cool thing. So he's looking for feedback on fit and finish, performance, ergos, edge retention, sharpness, and design and aesthetics. So I look forward to putting it through its paces and testing it in the kitchen quite a bit. So again, shipped in here. Let's unzip this pouch. Oh man, I've been genuinely so excited for this. This is gorgeous. And holy balls, it's light. All right, so it's about the size I was expecting, to be honest, just based on the dimensions. I don't feel like I'm shocked by how big or small it is. It feels about right. Now, when he talks about the diamond grind in the notes, that means that basically there's this flat grind down here, right? And then above the flat, you have a hollow, kind of like a big fuller. And the way I understand it on kitchen knives, food prep knives, that can be really, really beneficial for food release. So, like, I love carbs. I chop a lot of potatoes, right? This is funny too, because I'm going to hold this in my left hand because I do almost all of my kitchen knife tasks left-handed, which, good thing about a fixed blade, it's not going to matter either way, right? But when I'm chopping potatoes, a lot of the time you'll notice that they stick to the side of the knife, right? And then as you're chopping through them, then they kind of stack up and then they're falling over and they make this awkward pile. Whereas if they release as they cut or closer to that, then you have a more even stack following your cuts. Is the way I understand it as a noob. This is so thin. And it seems like it's got a distal taper because it definitely thins out toward the tip. Man, it's gorgeous. He's got his logo right there, Miller Knife Works. Really classy. Look at this micarta too. This is cross-cut micarta. So you can see the weave goes this way. Like normally you'd be looking at this micarta on a typical knife scale, like from this direction, it would be flat this way. And instead you're getting it cross-cut. So it almost looks kind of wood grainy. And it's polished to a really, really nice finish. I think what'll be nice too, with it being this like polished, and it seems to be like, I don't know, kind of a resin-rich micarta, if that makes sense. Like some micarta seems a little bit kind of dry and like porous, right? And for food prep, this is linen micarta, so it's a little different. But for food prep, this would probably not be the best in the sense that if I get food on my hands, like if I'm cutting raw chicken and whatever, and then I'm passing the knife around, then I'm getting raw chicken like into those kind of fibrous materials. And then for washing it, it would soak up water and potentially it could swell and contract and all that. This seems like it probably would be pretty much waterproof and impenetrable the way that it's really epoxied. Feels really good right off the bat too. This thing is so light. It's interesting because the profile of it, this thing looks huge, right? This is a giant knife compared to most of the knives that you see here on this channel being folding knives. Also, look at that grind. It's bananas. But yeah, it's just so thin and so light. It feels really, I don't know, it's like a fin. The handle feels like a good thickness too. Sometimes I find on chef knives, when I've picked up nice ones on a few occasions, even just at knife shows and stuff, a lot of the time the handle seems so thick, and maybe there's some kind of reason for that. Like, I'm not a professional chef. I do love to cook, and I cook a lot, and so that's a lot of food prep with knives, but I don't know, for me, maybe it's just for dudes with way bigger hands. For me, sometimes those thicker handles seem kind of off-putting and cumbersome to hold on to. This does not at all. This is really comfortable. Yeah, this is gorgeous. All right, so Nitro V. Can you hear that? That's how thin it is. Bananas. Oh yeah, look at that. The whole thing, if I grab from the tip, it'll flex quite a bit. Wow. Yeah, that's thin. And it's Nitro V, so I feel like these properties really lend themselves well to being a kitchen-focused steel. The edge that he put on is really good. He was explaining to me, I forget exactly what his process was, but when we were talking on the phone, he was talking about the way he sharpens, and for these, he typically just belt sharpens them, from what he said. And it sounded like he likes to leave them a little bit toothy, the edge, because when you're processing meat and stuff, that's what really bites in and slices well. And so he balances it for this specific type of knife. It's not like he just puts a crazy refined edge on because it'll like look really good, but he's thought about even the detail of like what grit he takes the edge to and where exactly he stops so that it'll be really good for food prep, which obviously this knife is for food prep. So I like that not just the grind and the ergos and like all that go into food prep, but even he's thought about the smallest detail of the final edge that he puts on it. It's really cool. Yeah, this is gorgeous with that diamond grind. I don't think I've ever actually used a chef's knife with a diamond grind, so I'm excited to see how that hollow does for food release. Yeah, so there's going to be plenty to come on this guy. This is going to be with me in the kitchen for the next couple of weeks. I'll probably do a first impressions, and then I'll do ultimately a full review as well, and I'll make sure to show a whole bunch of food prep in those videos and really kind of go over it at length. But I'm super looking forward to using this thing. Man, it is ridiculous. It's crazy. The size of it makes me think like chopper in hand, right? But then it's just so light. It's absolutely, it's a featherweight. I think he showed it on his Instagram. Check it out because I won't remember exactly what it was. But I want to say this whole knife was under 6 ounces for a freaking, what was the overall length? 13 inches? Yeah, 13 inches overall. That's bananas. Yeah, this is really, really cool. All right, so check out CJ Miller of Miller Knife Works if you haven't. There's also some stickers in here. I just realized I should have shown those as well. And he's a really cool dude, a talented maker. I can already see now that I've got one of these knives in hand, especially. And yeah, a super nice dude as well. All of the conversations I've been having with him, I consider him a friend already, and we haven't been talking for all that long, but just a really nice guy. And yeah, and he's a knife dude. He's not just making knives, but he's into knives. And I think that's also a cool thing to see from makers. He's not just like, oh, I can make money by making kitchen knives. No, he's like super into knives and like buying Spyderco sprints and exclusives and stuff. He's one of us, you know. Real cool. All right, it's out of the box. It is stunning to look at. And yeah, this is the Meleia. I hope I'm saying that right. Meleia. I'm going to spell it because I don't want to be that guy who's just like totally butchering it. It's Meleia. Meleia, I think is how I'll have to ask him how you pronounce his wife's name. I'm sorry if she's watching this. Anyway, it's out of the box. It's dope. We're going to get to work with it. And see you guys on the next one.